Okay, here we go. This is Garrett, tearstojoyministries.org. This video is called, Did King Nebuchadnezzar really act like an animal for 7 years? Did that really happen? Does God really do this? Changing a person's mind, changing their heart, changing their soul to act like an animal? So this is what happened. King Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, ruling the entire known world, was boasting and bragging a lot. And one night, while he was sleeping, God gave him a dream. And none of the king's wise men could interpret the dream. But someone told the king, hey, there's a guy named Daniel. One of the Hebrew slaves can interpret dreams. He called for Daniel. Daniel came in, and he told the king what the dream meant. And in Daniel 4:23, this is what Daniel says. I'm sorry, let's back up a second. It's actually chapter 25, not 23. Daniel 4:25. This is what the dream meant that God gave the king. Daniel says to the king, you will be driven from human society, and you will live in the fields with the wild animals. You will eat grass like a cow, and you will be drenched with the dew of heaven. Then Daniel says 7 periods of time, that's 7 years, will pass while you live this way. 7 entire years living like an animal. Then Daniel says, until you learn that the Most High rules over the kingdoms of the world and gives them to anyone he chooses. So why is this happening to King Nebuchadnezzar? Because of pride. Because of his pride, because of his ego, because of his self-righteousness, and because of his boasting. But how do we know we can trust this story? How do we know that this story is literal and not symbolic? Let me tell you how we can know. Does God actually do this to people? Yes, he does. I know of people who have such demonic infestations inside of them that they act like animals, that they behave like animals, that they somewhat think like animals. And one of these people that I tried to help on the phone, some of these demons from this person came and tried to attack me later on that night in my bedroom. So does God do this to people? Yes, he does. Do I have any other witnesses? Yes, I do. A very, very good friend of mine, someone whom I've known for a long time, someone who I know is not a liar and does not fool around with this kind of stuff, went through some similar experiences. Do I have any more witnesses? Yes, I do. Myself. Sometimes God puts me through experiences where certain kinds of demons attack me so fiercely and so strongly I can act like an animal or behave like an animal. And it's only the grace of God that some of these worse attacks have only lasted a couple hours, and not 1 day, and not 1 month, and not 1 year, and not 7 years like King Nebuchadnezzar. Does God do this? Yes. Yes, he does. I would be a liar if I told you any differently. For those of you who think that Satan is doing this, well, we're getting past that bad theology now of blaming Satan for everything. This is the year 2017 where Jesus gets all the glory, all of the praise, all of the credit, and all of the honor for everything now, for everything. So, I've gone through some of these experiences myself, and it's real, and these animalistic demons are real, whether they're like coyotes or wolves or snakes or dragons or reptiles. It's all real. It's real. So can God do this to King Nebuchadnezzar for 7 years? Easily. He is the master of the universe. Does God do this to people here and now in the year 2017? Yes, he does. There are people who are eating themselves, drinking their own fluids, drinking blood, acting like animals, howling and barking, and their tongue sticking out of them like a serpent, like a dragon, like a wolf. Yes, this is real. And we need to expose this, and we need to talk about it. We don't want to be ashamed. We don't want to be embarrassed. And we don't want to be afraid to talk about it. Let's talk about what God does. It gives him glory. It gives him honor. It gives him praise. This video is giving him glory right now. Praise God. He uses a person like me all alone in my room by myself in my little studio, and he uses little old Garrett to bring himself glory. So did this happen to King Nebuchadnezzar? In my spirit, I'd say 99.9% for sure, yes. Does this happen to people I know? Yes. Does some of this stuff happen to me, myself, Garrett? Yes. It's real. It's all real. We have to be more humble. We have to let our pride go. Or Jesus might have this happen to you for 2 hours, and you're going to be sorry. You're going to be on the ground sniffing and licking and eating and drooling and barking and growling. Does the Lord do this? We already stated, yes. Do you want him to show you this? Do you want to experience this for 2 hours? If not, you better practice being more humble. You better let your ego go now. Let your pride go. We're not following prosperity preaching any longer. We all learned prosperity preaching is a lie and a deception, that it came from the pit of hell, and prosperity preaching is being fed off of your pride. So let your pride go and be more humble, just like King Nebuchadnezzar did. And God restored the king, and his officials found him after 7 years of wandering around the forest, acting like an animal. And he got his kingship back, he got his kingdom back, and boy, was he humble after that. Wow, was he humble after that. So I encourage you as I say goodbye, we have to humble ourselves more than you think, more.